Glenn Glassborough, affectionately known as Mr. Dollar Out of a Dime. And I know I've been out for a little while, but I have been going through some strenuous training and learning and stretching myself to different levels. And in that, I've had the opportunity to meet some amazing people. And one of them happens to be my guest today, along with his lovely wife, Mr. Pino Tenerelli, as well as his wife, Patsy Tenerelli. They're going to be sharing with us some amazing information as it relates to real estate investing. So hang out with us, stay tuned. We'll be right back after this. All right, folks, welcome back. Again, like I said, I know I've been out for a little while. We're just getting things ramped back up for the new year. But we're glad you're here. We're glad you're tuning in. If you're just watching us for the first time, again, this is the Real Life Real Estate Investing Show, where we talk about real life real estate situations, but we bring you real life real estate solutions. Again, I'm your host, Glenn Glassborough, affectionately known as Mr. Dollar Out of a Dime. And we're going to be talking about some information that I'm sure many people are curious to know about. And, of course, as it relates to investing in real estate. But many times people don't know what they don't know as it relates to getting into the business. And oftentimes they don't know that you don't necessarily need to know anything. You just need to let your money go to work for you. And that's what our guest is going to be sharing with us today, how to get the greatest return on your investment, investing in real estate. So without further ado, we're going to have our guest, Mr. and Mrs. Pino Tenerelli of APHI Investments. I'm going to get that right.
APHI.
If I get
the
it right.
I is the investments.
Yeah, the I is the investments. That's what I said. All right. Oh, where'd you go? Okay, there you go. All right. So listen, welcome to the show. Thank you for being my first guest of 2023. You're the absolute first guest of 2023. So of course, I had to kick off the new year with some great people doing some great things. Of course, I'm a little envious that y'all doing business in California. I'm not grown enough to do that yet. But tell the folks a little bit about yourselves, and then we'll get right into the information.
Okay. I'm Pino.
Let Patsy go first. No, I'm just kidding.
You want Patsy go first?
No, go ahead. I'm just picking on her.
So I'm Pino. This is my wife, Patsy. Together, with our powers combined, we have formed Affordable Pro Homes and Investments. That's a mouthful, so we just call ourselves APHI. It's an acronym. But we've been in business since the middle of 2017, and we primarily focus on fix and flips. And we're currently on project 46. So yeah. I personally take care of the rehab management side of things. Once we acquire the property, I'm the one that takes care of the project management and the layouts and all that design. And then Patsy works on acquisitions and dispositions.
Okay. You weren't gonna let Patsy tell that herself.
I know. It's my life. He speaks for me.
Oh my goodness.
So hi, I'm Patsy Tenerelli, and like Pino said, I'm acquisitions among so many other things, but mainly that. So a little bit about us before we got started. For myself, I'm actually a licensed marriage and family therapist, which has actually been really helpful, I think, in stressful situations when we are dealing with people that are coming from situations where maybe they've lost a loved one and they've and they have a property to sell, or if they're going through, a divorce and this and that. So it's actually been kind of helpful just to be able to kind of just build that rapport and just have that, just build relationships with people other than just real estate. So I think that with Pino's background as well, I'll let you tell your background.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I was gonna say you definitely got to tell your story, dude.
Well, my background, actually, I've got quite a few backgrounds. Aerospace engineering is what I went to school for. And so I used to make airplane parts for a long time, but I also have a heavy construction background. I used to do remodels and additions kind of like on my own, kind of like it started off as just handyman work and then kind of just snowballed, and I always like to learn new things and pick up new things. So I was doing that on my own for a while, and then I needed a steady job because it was feast or famine, and that's when I met Patsy. And so I went back into the aerospace field and did that for a while. And yeah, so that's kind of my gamut of things. I'm the technical guy, I guess. I'm the nerd. Let's just call a spade. I'm the nerd. Yeah, she's the pretty face. I'm the nerd.
Listen, hey, nerds are necessary in our day and age right now. Nerds did used to be cool, but nerds are the coolest now.
Yeah.
Listen, I can't say that I have an aerospace background. That's, I don't have that. So thank you for being my nerd friend. So listen, man, you skipped over one small little minor detail. Now, Patsy led with that she's a licensed marriage and family therapist. Did I get that right, Patsy?
Yes.
Now this guy has as a certification. He's licensed in some areas as well. He can do some major stuff now also. You want to tell the folks what you're now certified to do as a master? What is that thing called?
I'm actually a master practitioner in neuro-linguistic programming, also known as NLP. So, so timeline therapy and hypnotherapy and all that fun stuff. So that's and that's how I met you.
Yeah, absolutely. And just looking at, as Patsy mentioned, she mentioned that her background being licensed in those areas helps her to be able to, speak to those people who are going through those types of situations where they have challenges with family and, marriage or divorce or anything like that, and that's definitely a skill that could be applicable in the real estate arena. Just as you mentioned, now being a master practitioner in neuro-linguistic programming, that's a mouthful. I try to say that as well. But it does help to be able to help in those stressful situations. When you're talking to a person who's going through a situation with a house, either they're losing or, or choosing to give up for whatever reason, you both actually are, now qualified to speak in those areas to help people through those situations. So I definitely salute you both. So you'll be the people who I call when I got those kind of problems.
Yeah.
Clients I need to talk to.
Real quick on that note, we actually had a seller one time call us, and this was a couple years ago. And she literally called wanting to sell her house, and I answered the phone, and she literally is yelling at me right off the bat, and I'm like, whoa, what the heck? And she's trying to say her story, but she's screaming at me like she literally was angry at me. Wow. And I don't know this person, right? And so I just hold on, please hold. And I just handed the phone to Patsy, and it turns out that she was going through a divorce, right? And so she had major issues with any male type personality. So so Patsy was able to just de-escalate the situation immediately and diffuse it and all that good stuff. So yeah, that was intense.
It is funny you bring that up, man. It's so interesting. One of the first things. Well, I'm gonna say it this way. Some people might not like this, but I'm gonna say what I say. This is my show. One of the first things that we learn as real life real estate investors is that you have to build rapport, right, with the people that you're speaking to. And what we, of course, the course we just went through was a major thing about building rapport with the clients or people that we service. And I think, unfortunately, that's a overlooked skill as well as negotiating skills. But the building rapport part, I think, is a major part of what people miss. And just understanding, as you mentioned, that woman didn't want to hear from you, and she didn't even give you an opportunity to build rapport, right? But hearing another voice on the other end and someone who's skilled in that area to build that type of rapport, it certainly helps us break down a lot of those barriers that we would really have to deal with in a lot of cases as it relates to, what we do in the business. So again, you're I'll take some credit as well. We're far ahead of the game, based on what we've actually experienced. So listen, you guys started out. I want to get a little bit of background of how you started in real estate and why real estate. right? You know, I know a lot of people get involved in the business for whatever reason, and they want to make a whole lot of money. But what's your story like? What did you all want to do? What did you all want to do when you guys started investing in real estate?
You gonna go first?
You can go first.
I'll go first. So to kind of put it bluntly, this was effectively my dream. I just have always had the passion of, I like fixing things. Let's just start there. I like fixing things. So I've always liked the thought of getting a rundown house and then making it beautiful again. That's kind of just always been in my life, or in my blood, if you will. My dad taught me how to fix things, and, you know, kind of just stuck. And so I've always had that thought, that notion, and always thought, oh yeah, but you need, and my dad actually wanted to do that when he was younger and just didn't have the money. You know, the concept of not having the money, not being able to afford that extra house. So I had the same mentality until I was sitting in a car dealership one day, waiting for my car, getting some major work done to it. And on the TV was, you know, one of those infomercials for, you know, learn how to invest and how to flip homes without any money out of pocket. And I was like, wait, what? Like, this is a thing? Yeah. And then, okay, call it what you will. I call it a sign from God. But then Patsy later on that same day, because I had mentioned like, hey, you know, I would love to flip homes and this and that. And Patsy, that was it the same day or the next day?
I think it was the next day.
The next day, she tells me of a radio commercial that they were actually going to be in our area. This mentorship was going to be in our area, and it happened to be the same one that I heard on TV 2 days prior.
And it was free.
And it was free. It was a free, you know, free 2-hour seminar. And so, you know, so we I'm like, are you kidding? So we signed up for it, and it was funny. We actually sat down, and the first thing Patsy tells me, she looks over at me. She's like, we're not buying anything. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm totally naive, right? I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm here to learn everything I need to know about how to buy a house and how to flip it, all that. So I had my notebook.
In 2 hours.
In 2 hours, right? So, and sure enough, there was a pitch for the 3-day seminar at the end, and, you know, and this and that. And so, okay, so at the end of the 2-hour thing, I was like, cool. I got all my notes and closed the book, and then, you know, Patsy looks at me and she's like, well, are you going to sign up? And I was like, what? And I was like, Speak Gonzalez right out of there, right? So yeah, so we ended up we did the 3-day seminar, and then ended up joining the actual full program, and pretty much we haven't looked back since. But as far as our why is actually very important. I believe that's been a strong driving force. I'll let Patsy tell about the why.
Oh goodness!
I put you on the spot.
I was going to tell a different story, but okay. I was actually going to say, so sorry if I'm not answering your question, but I was actually going to say this was never my dream. Like, I'm just being honest. So I'm not really a risk taker. I should say I wasn't a risk taker. And you know, this was his dream, and as trying to be a supportive wife, I was like, okay, this is what you want to do. Let's look into it. But I have my own dream, and my dream is to help people. And so at that time, I was actually going to grad school to become an MFT. I'll make it easy for you. MFT, marriage family therapist. Okay. And so I was like, this is your dream. This is your thing. I'll support you. But, you know, I have my own dream. But in doing that, you know, we realized that working for other people kind of sucks. You know, and so then that just became which kind of is a segue. That kind of just became our why. We have 2 sons. We wanted to have the freedom of, you know, going to their games, going to their performances, going on family vacations, and not having to ask for permission, right? Yes. And so, so we made a decision, and actually it was an unfortunate situation. The boys and I actually got into a very bad car accident, and I was out of work for about, what would you say? Like maybe like
4 or 5 months.
Yeah, 4 or 5 months. And so, you know, the doctors wouldn't give me any more time, and I wasn't healing. And so what they said was, you know, we can't give you any more time, but you need to rest. And I'm like, well,
Yeah.
I can't do that, because a lot of people have, this perception that as a therapist, you stand and you sit and you're just taking down notes like on TV, and that's not what I did at all. So then Pino said to me, I know this little company that's hiring, a little startup company that's hiring over here in Palmdale. And so we really just talked about it. We prayed about it. And I left my job first. And that year, again, have no real estate background whatsoever. And so then I did one or two deals, I guess, by myself. And so then the next year we did more. And by 2019, we were like, well, if I can do, 7, 8 deals on my own, and I have no real estate background with, everything that he brings to the table, we could be a killer team. And we were, and we are. And we had a goal to do 10 that year, and we actually did 12. So, so it's just been a very bumpy road, I guess, at the beginning. But we really did, someone just commented that it was a leap of faith, and it really, really was.
Absolutely.
And we pride ourselves in, having faith and putting our faith first, and be in the process being able to help people and being able to give back to our community, give back to our church, and just really build some really strong relationships. Along the way, we have met some amazing people that we call family now, that we've gone to family vacations with, that our kids are friends, and, that I can call on when I'm having a bad day, and we can pray together or go out to lunch together. So, it started off with we want to give back to our families and our children and our parents. But I think that between then and now, I think it's changed a little bit, and we want to just do so much more, and be able to give back to all those people that we have met along the way, and the ones that we will continue to meet.
Yeah.
Listen, absolutely amazing. I gotta say, now first of all, let me make sure we clarify something. I'm a family member now too, so don't leave me out.
Yay!
That's right. Uncle Glenn in the house.
Don't leave me out. We'll bring my kids to California too. But I gotta say, on a serious note, when I met your husband, when we were in California, we I don't know what it was. Automatically, we connected, right?
It was the food.
It was the food.
Wow.
Yeah, the food. This guy can eat, by the way. I thought I could eat, but I think he got me. But I gotta say, one of the things, and hopefully you don't mind me sharing this, Peter. One of the things that from a man to another man, I think we're secure enough in who we are for me to be able to share this with you.
Yes.
One of the reasons that made me fall in love with this dude is we sat down to eat, and before we ate on several occasions. Pino led the prayer for us to pray over our food. And, that's something that I do all the time. Me and my family, we always pray. But that was something that made me really, really drawn to him, because I could feel his spirit and what he was doing. So listen, for that, you stuck with me, bro. We family for real.
Can you edit out the watery eyes?
Well, no, I don't think we can do that. Look, I'm trying to hold my eye together too.
I appreciate it, man. It's a pleasure. It really was.
And it's easy to connect with people like that, and especially the way you're describing the folks that you've been able to connect with. I think in many cases, the things that we do, we are capable of building a community around, investing in real estate, or, just making those connections, especially educating ourselves on a higher level. There is community in that for us to be able to connect with one another and help each other grow to the next level. So again, thank you for being who you are and doing what you do. But I can, sing your praises the rest of this show. But we'll get back to
Thank you.
So now, and of course, I asked that question because the why is a major part of why we should be asking ourselves why we do most anything, right? Because oftentimes what I say, if you don't have a big enough why, you'll be taken out after the first sign of adversity, right? And we know real estate, there's plenty of adversity in it.
Yes.
So if you don't have a big enough why, I mean, especially real estate, but in anything that you do, you know, you'll be wiped out right away, right? You know, as I shared a story of my own, you know, a post that I made about being pulled over but not parked, right? I had a tumultuous year last year dealing with some, you know, deals that I was working on that didn't quite work out. But because of the experience and the why that I have being big enough, you know, of course, it didn't take me out. You know, even if I got to start all over again, you know, it's something that I am prepared to do in any position that I'm in. So, you know, that's why you got to have a love for what you're doing, and you got what you're doing, and you got to have a big enough why. So, thank you all for sharing that.
Yeah, and Glenn, just to add to that note real quick, for us, it's always been we have no other option. We have no choice. We have no choice but to continue to push. Definitely. And that has been, you know, like you said, it's like ups and downs, right? Peaks and valleys in the business. Yeah. I'm sure any business. But it's just I guess the tenacity, if you will, of just, you know, hey, we didn't come this far just to get this far, right?
Right.
So just being able to push through and just know that, you know, God's got a plan, and we're just pawns in his chess game, and we just have to believe in that. And so, just push forward.
True story. True story. You know, spoken like a gentleman who's been on HGTV, by the way. You know.
Oh my God.
I'm just saying. We
you
just
told them about
it may have come up.
I'm just saying. Just get it out there a little bit. You know, very inspirational, by the way. So listen, you said you always like to fix things, but you know, I see that you like to fix some really big things, man. What level, or what kind of level of flip do you like to do? You know, I mean, I see you doing stuff in California, man. We still do these little old houses here in Atlanta, you know, but you're doing stuff in California. What level of flip do you like to do?
We actually, thank you. We actually do the whole spectrum. We actually have one right now currently that we're working on that's a super light rehab. Like we're literally just painting trims and doors. It used to be a rental, and it was just everything was the same color. Doors, trims, ceilings, you know. So we're just doing some accent colors and just doing some glazing and replacing. So very light rehab, cosmetic rehab. But then we do extensive rehabs to where we're doing structural changes, either removing walls if needed. We've also added square footage or done conversions, ADU conversions, where we're converting the garage. So any gamut, that just, you know, if the deal makes sense, and you know, we run our numbers and see. Yeah, but we're not afraid to take on bigger projects. We're actually looking at some new development as well. We've been dabbling in that, and Patsy's a little skeptical on that, just because it's a longer time frame, you know. So, and you know, time in this business, time is everything, right? So, So on the new developments, there has to be. It's a bigger risk. There's a greater reward, but there's also a lot more, you know, what would you say, prediction or forecasting that needs to be done in advance. So, but yeah, so to answer your question, we go from little to big. We're not afraid.
Because smaller is better.
Yeah, smaller is better. It's an inside joke.
It's
an inside joke.
I don't know how that came up, but it was gonna have to come up eventually.
Now I gotta tell her. Oh my goodness.
Please don't. I don't want to know.
Smaller is better. Or you know, depending on the size of the project, right?
Right.
So what I told the folks that we were going to be talking about today is how you can show people how to invest in real estate and not have experience and get a significant return on their money. How does that work? Like, what does that process look like?
Right. So good question. So, and I love the fact that you're emphasizing on the fact that you don't need to have real estate experience to invest, because you don't, especially if you have experienced investors that would be handling everything that needs to be handled. But pretty much what we do is I start off by getting a lead, whether it's coming from one of our own marketing strategies, or we have agents that we work with that bring us either pocket listings, MLS listings, off market. So however we get the lead, right?
Right.
So I analyze the deal. I run some numbers. I get comparables. The whole shebang. Once we get it under contract, then I start just reaching out to people. Now, there is a magical board in our office, and the magical board.
Magical.
And the magical board. Yeah, you
I gotta
be on
hear
that
this one.
right? So the magical board just basically has names of people that have been in contact with us about investing in our real estate projects. Okay, and the way you get on the board is having a pretty much a one-on-one with us, just kind of talking about like what their plans are, what they want to invest in, what is their minimum, what is their max, what are they comfortable with. Once we have the, I guess you could say the confirmation or the okay that they want to invest with us either now or in the future, then we put them up on the board with an amount. Okay. So it makes
for example, Glenn G dash 450,000.
I just feel like my bank account just got empty. 450. You said it was magical, so.
We're gonna use Glenn. Good job, babe. Nice kid.
Right, I know. Easy segue, right?
Yeah. So when we get a deal, we have something under contract, and let's just pretend that we need $450,000 to close this deal. So then I go to the magical board, and then I go down.
We always need $450,000. That's not pretend.
Yeah. And then so we say, oh, Glenn.
Right.
So then I reach out to Glenn and I say, Glenn, we have this property. We want to bring it to you first. We always want to, not always, but we try to go to the people on the board first for reasons of that it's just easier because we've already had the conversation. They've already committed. And it may not work out at that time. So for example, if I reach out to you and you say, oh, I just lent out my money, or I used some of it, or I only have this amount. But at least we've already had a conversation. You already know that I'll be sending you potential deals. Does that make sense so far?
Yes.
So then once we have the conversation of this is what we're looking for. This is the time frame. We put a packet together. Okay. The packet has the address of the home, our deal analyzer, what are we gonna be doing to the home, scope of work. The amount that we're looking for and what the return would be in the time frame that we have allotted for. So then we send that to the investor. If they like what they see, then they make a commitment to us, and then we start the paperwork. Okay. And then you can take care of the paperwork.
Yep. So paperwork, depending if it's their first time, if they're an unexperienced investor, let's say, they need some little bit of hand holding, that's not a problem. We'll help them do the paperwork. There's very minimal paperwork. It's basically a review of our promissory note. So we create a promissory note. Then there's a deed of trust and lender's instructions. Again, stuff that we can help with. We also, if we're using our own team, we always try to use our own escrow team when we're purchasing the property. They'll also help generate paperwork too, if needed. But experienced investors have their own paperwork, and
that's okay too.
Yeah, we're fine with that as well. So once we get the paperwork done through escrow, then the next thing is just waiting for wiring instructions. Once all the paperwork has been filled out, I'm giving a very high level. I don't know how much time we have. Then the investor will wire their money to title. I don't know. Is Georgia uses escrow title, or do you guys use attorneys?
It's closing attorneys in Georgia. Yeah.
Okay, so here in California, we use escrow and title companies, and so they'll wire the money to title, so it doesn't go to us or to escrow; it goes to title, because title has to actually receive the money in their hands to be able to say yes, this is legit, to be able to put them as a lien holder on the property, and And title insurance too. That way that they're
Absolutely.
insured. Their title, the title's insured as well. Then we purchase the property. Then that's where my job comes in, and I start to renovate the place. We have several crews that we work with. We have 6 crews that we bounce back and forth with, or moving around jobs, and we're always expanding that. And once the rehab is completed, then it goes back to Patsy, and she takes care of staging. She either hires a stager or we stage ourselves, and then she hires an agent. If we haven't already hired an agent in the front end, then we decide on an agent to use. We work with many agents, and then now it's your part. So
yeah. So, but in the process of the rehab, where I'm constantly sending updates to our investors. A lot of investors. So we have 2 types of investors. So the first investor is, I would like to please keep me in the loop. I want to see pictures. I try to send at least once a month. This is the update. Here are some pictures. They're always welcome to come to the, if they're able to come to the property and see progress. And then we have the second type of investor, which is, here's my money. I don't want to know anything. I don't want to pick up a hammer. I don't care. Just tell me when my money's coming back.
tell me when
the next deal is. Yeah.
Right.
So we have both of those types of investors, and we're happy to work with both.
Okay.
So during the process of the rehab, like I said, I'm sending just progress pictures, just an update. Once we go live, then I send a link, like a MLS link or Redfin or Zillow, whichever, just to let them know. If they're local, we invite them to the open house. And like Pino said, like, I most likely already know who is going to be listing, and we do work with a lot of different agents, but I have my go-to agents per market. Like in every market, I have like, oh, this person has a lot of experience in this market, So I would say I've narrowed it down to maybe like 5 or 6 teams. And so once that happens, then I lost my train of thought. We go live, and then once we received an offer and have accepted an offer, I let the investor know, hey, we're opening escrow, and this is our timeline, whether it's a 30-day escrow, 45-day escrow, or back in the day, 10-day escrow, and so that they can kind of get prepared also, that escrow will be reaching out to them directly. And then so once that happens, then they have some paperwork to do for the payoff. We also provide a loan calculator in the event that the investor needs it. Like I said, we have a lot of seasoned investors, but then we also have, some new ones, or that are not, very familiar with how do I calculate, what's owed to me. Yeah. So everything is sent over to them for review before it's sent over to escrow.
Yeah, I was just going to say, and the reason for the calculator is interest accrues daily. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So it's just, it helps calculate, when you come to annualized interest rates, could be a little confusing. So yeah, we just have an Excel spreadsheet that we send them, and our Excel calculator, basically we plug in the estimated close of escrow date, if you will.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Right. Because sometimes it closes sooner, sometimes it closes later. So it gives the amount, the payoff for that day, and then it gives, like, I think we have it 12 or 15 days before, and 15 days after. So that way escrow doesn't have to constantly come back and forth if there's a change in the days. So
okay. Yeah. Great stuff. So what's a typical return on investment and turnaround time for something like that?
It depends on the level of rehab. As we mentioned, we do from the lighter to the heavier. So the lighter ones are generally between 4 to 6 months. The actual rehab themselves takes quicker, but now with the market a little shifting, it's going back to pre-COVID days on market, which is around 45 days to a month before the open escrow.
Like regular, like normal.
Yeah, just back to before COVID days. Yep. Right. So those investments are usually about 4 months or so, 5 months. If we're doing some structural work, it's usually between 6 to 9 months because of the permitting process and all that. If we're adding square footage, that takes a little bit more time, just construction and plans and permitting again. So that's usually 9 to 12 months. So it really depends on the deal. So we have quicker projects and then we have longer projects.
But the investor will know.
Yes.
The investor will know ahead of time what our estimated time frame is. So, for example, if we have a quick a cosmetic fixer, then we'll let them know it's about 4 to 5 months, 6 months. We'll write up a promissory note for about 6 months just to play it safe. But if it's going to be one of those bigger projects, then they'll know ahead of time that their money will be quote unquote tied up for a longer period of time, because we would have already discussed that, and it'll say it on our packet as well.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. And you know, I'm sure the listeners know, but with real estate investing, it's not something that you can just pull your money out like in 3 weeks. If something happens and you need money to fix something in your house, for example,
Right.
you can just pick up the phone and say, "Hey, Pino and Patsy, I need my money next week." It's like, it doesn't quite work that way.
But here's the thing. I'm glad you made that point though, because not all people know that. Right. You know, you have some people, and you know, we'll say from various understandings of how money works and how it gets invested. And some of them will understand that, yeah, you're gonna have money tied up for a whole year.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the amount of return that you get on that money versus what you're getting, you know, currently, you know, doing whatever else you're doing, if you're doing anything. Right. So not everybody gets that point, but so I'm glad you made that point though. Yes, it's not one of those I need to make a withdrawal tomorrow type of situation.
Right. And you know, if you have, the short and sum of it is, if you, and I say you, not Glenn, but you, anyone, if you have money,
you want my $450,000 no more?
Yeah,
oh, we do.
You just gave it back.
No, it's tied up. No, but what I want to say was, if you have money just sitting idle in the bank or under your mattress, for that matter, we actually know people like that. If you have money just sitting there in the bank, you're only making the bank rich. Your 0.01% that you make on your money, it's a shame. They're making money off of you because they're paying you that 0.01%, but then they're turning around and, you know, lending it on credit cards and mortgages for anywhere from 8 to 25%. So yeah, be smarter with your money. That's all.
And what's the FDIC insured amount now? Is it 250,000?
I'm not sure. I don't know what it is.
I think it's up to 250,000. So if you got more than $250,000 in the bank, it's really not secure.
Yeah.
And you know, the money that you would lend to, you know, someone like, you know, Patsy and Pino and me too, is secured by the real estate, you know. And you know, and that's a point I just want to make sure we point out, because a lot of times folks don't understand that their investment is secured. And you know, for those of us like you and I that are experienced, we know how to buy right to protect the investment, you know. So back to that. What is, you know, I asked the question about, you know, the FDIC insured amount, but is there a minimum amount that a person can invest, or is there a maximum amount? You don't want $2 million? Is that too much, or you know?
Sure. So we get that question asked a lot, and I don't know that we have like the right answer, because you know, we'll never turn away someone that wants to make an investment that is, you know, that would help us in a situation. For example, we just have this one fixer that Pino was talking about that is very, very light cosmetic. So someone that might have, I don't know, help me out here, an amount of
20,000.
Yeah, 20, 30,000 might think, oh, I just need to have a bigger investment. But we do have those smaller, and I'm saying smaller because $20,000, $30,000 isn't a small amount, but in real estate investing and in fix and flips, it is considered, in my opinion, a smaller amount. In California, yes.
Listen. In most areas, 20,000, 30,000 is a small amount. So,
okay, great.
We
don't want to hurt anyone's feelings.
So 30,000 buys you what, a couple doors in California?
Yes, and he's gotten in trouble for that. So
yes. And a light fixture.
So I guess going back, you know, we have had people say, but I only have 25,000, and we're like, listen, we'll put your money to work. Like,
we'll put you on the board.
We'll put you on the magical board, and those opportunities do come up. So we have had people that have done 15, 20, and then we have people that have done, the cousin Glenn 450 and higher, so it really just depends. So I
check my name on that.
Yeah. So I wouldn't say that there isn't a minimum or a set amount, but and especially now, it is harder to come across projects that will only need that smaller amount of like 15, 20,000, especially since, everything has gone up with labor and materials. We used to, when we first started, side story, when we first started, we used to be able to do rehabs with 35,000 out here in our area.
And that's a decent cosmetic foot.
Yes.
I'm not talking just painting carpet. I'm talking all flooring, paint inside and out. Full kitchen, cabinets, countertops, full vanities, toilets, like a full cosmetic rehab.
Right.
Yeah. And now
that no longer exists.
Yeah, now we're 45 to 60 easily.
So here's a funny story. It's funny that you mentioned that. I know an area here in Decatur, Georgia, where I used to buy rehabs. I used to pay $25,000 for the house and maybe $35,000 for the rehab. And that's like almost full gut almost a full gut rehab.
Wow.
Now in that area, no one can bring me a house in that area that doesn't start with $80,000 of renovation.
Wow.
You can't say, oh, well, it's a house in Decatur, it only needs $25,000. No. If it's older than 1970, or most of them are older than 1970, that's going to be at least starting at $80,000.
Yeah, and it's everywhere. And it depends too, to go back to the amount, it also depends on the market.
Mm-hmm.
If we're where we're based out of the Antelope Valley, Palmdale, Lancaster area. So these houses out here are a little less priced as compared to like Los Angeles area, or like double, triple our house, our neighborhood area, our medium price point. So that also reflects the amount needed. Not necessarily renovation, because you can have a low-end house here and a low-end house there. The renovation's the same, it's just the purchase price is higher, right? So, but they're also,
and the finishes are a lot more expensive.
Yeah, and then there are neighborhoods where the finishes are more expensive. So it skyrockets on renovation. So labor is the same, of course, but the actual finishes are more expensive. So it really is. There is a wide gamut of lending opportunities. It's just a matter of having conversation and then getting put on the board, and whenever we have a deal that fits, then we reach out to you.
Now, I do want to say something about the magical board.
Yes. Tell us about the
magical board. Is also a nice board. And just because you're not on the board doesn't mean that you can't call us and say, hey, Patsy, this is Glenn. I have $450,000. I know I'm not on your board,
Did she learn some of that stuff? Have you been teaching her that stuff since you've been home? She's real good.
So for those that are listening, or that had thought of, but I'm not on the board, it's we have literally had people message us and say, this is a true story.
Yeah.
Hey, Patsy Pino, I don't know you, but so-and-so gave me your number, and I have $100,000 sitting in my bank, and I hate that I'm not making any money. Could you use it? And it's like,
okay,
I think I could.
I'll figure it out.
Yeah. And then also, just again, going back to the magical board. When I have an idea of who I have available to lend, it makes my offer stronger when I'm speaking to a real estate agent, or when I'm speaking to a seller themselves. So if I know that I don't have to go out and get a hard money loan, or that I don't have to, that I have the money there ready to go, I can make a stronger offer by saying, yes, I can close in 10 days because I know on my board I have this person that's ready to go. So I can close in 10 days. And we have those people that, no, I need to sell now. For various reasons. So again, it just makes my offer stronger. And we have outbid other people, not only because we were higher or sometimes we were even lower, but our terms, which is another thing that we like to do. We're not always the highest. We're not always, we don't like to say, hey, you need to get out in 10 days. There's a lot of investors, a lot of flippers that say, oh, but I need the house in 10 days. Listen, there's people that have been at this house for 15, 20, 40 plus years. You can't expect them to be out in 10 days. So we like to accommodate the seller when possible. We also don't do anything over 60 days because then people just start changing their minds and this and that. But we're like 30, 45 days, that's fine. But if you need in 10 days, we can also accommodate that. So again, the magical board is not just for purposes of who is ready to go, but also because it makes my offer stronger when I know that we're ready to rock and roll.
Great stuff. Great stuff.
Actually, sorry, Glenn, the property that was on the HGTV show, we actually acquired that property $25,000 less than another investor for that exact reason right there. The other investor offered $25K more and is like, we want this in 10 days. And they were an elderly couple. The wife was in hospice. They literally were living there for 50 years,
something like that.
They had a lot of stuff. They had to move to Washington, and it wasn't feasible. And we gave them 45 days plus an additional 15 after the close of escrow. Again, we did a hold back to protect ourselves, of course, but and we don't do that with anyone and everyone. But yeah, we were able to purchase a house $25K less because we accommodated the seller as opposed to, just.
And we, Pino, we're gonna let you finish your story, but we're not gonna just let you slide by that was the house on HGTV and then no, come on back. Let's talk about that. So and of course that's on my list, right? That's on my list. So tell us, how do you, now of course we know that you're in California, and most of our people that are around the country watch HGTV, and 80% of the houses that they see are from California. So you have our Atlanta investors thinking that, we can buy a house and we can fix it up in 30 minutes or less and make $200,000. Y'all California people, I tell you, y'all messed it up for everybody else. But how did y'all go about becoming, as Kim says, superstars?
Oh my God.
How did you go about getting an opportunity to be on HGTV? Or do you mind sharing that?
No, yeah, I don't want to say it fell in our lap, but it kind of fell in our lap.
He's being modest.
Well, hold on. Let me tell my part. Let me tell my side of the story. There's 3 sides to every story, right? My side, your side. So, so somebody was posted something, and that they were looking for flippers, and I saw it, but I didn't reach out. And somebody had tagged me on the post, and then they actually, I don't know how they got my number, because they got my direct phone number, which is not anywhere in our marketing. Like it's usually Patsy's cell that's everywhere. And they actually called me directly and saying, hey, I'm so and so, I'm a casting director for this show, and we're wondering if you'd be interested. And I was like, okay, tell me more, because I've always wanted to be, one of my life goals was to be an actor, and so that obviously didn't happen. And so I've always wanted, I'm like, the HGTV shows, I'm like, that'd be cool, because now we're like, I'm combining my dream of acting and my dream and passion of real estate and kind of fusing them together. And so I was totally stoked, and they asked me about if we had any deals coming up, and we had a cat house that we were just buying.
Cat house.
It was a cat house, literally 45 cats.
45 cats?
45. Yeah, it was nasty. And so, but it was too far for them. So they're like, oh, okay, well, if you have anything else, I'm like, well, we do have another one that's in Sylmar. But
which is like, they don't know. It's like 25 minutes away from Los Angeles.
Yeah. So it's closer to it was closer to the casting crew, The cat house was up in our area in Lancaster. And I told them, but there's a longer escrow. It's a 30-day escrow or whatever it was, 45-day plus 15 days. And they're like, well, let me talk to see what do you plan to do. So we told them what we plan to do. Okay, let me talk to the producers. So they talked to the producers. They got back to me, and they're like, we want to do it. We want to air you on the show. And I was like, wait, what? Serious? Like, this is awesome. So I come home. I'm all excited. I'm like, babe, guess what? I'm like, we got chosen to be on a HG, or we're gonna get interviewed to be on an HGTV show, and she's like, "Hell to the no!" And she's like,
"Was this anything like you signing up for that real estate class that she said you couldn't sign up for?"
Right, yeah, no, not at all like that. And she's like, "Nope, not gonna do it. No." I'm like, "Come on, baby, it'll be fun." She goes, "No, wait, no." And so after many arguments, if you want to call them that.
He left out the begging, the crying,
yeah,
yeah.
Bouquets of flowers, and then so they sent over the paperwork for me to sign, and I just I didn't respond. Right? And they've been hounding me, and I just didn't respond. I was totally ghosting them. The definition of ghosting, I created it with this thing, right? So 2 weeks later, we're laying in bed. It's like a Sunday night at 10 o'clock. We literally just lay down in bed. Our heads are on the pillows, the lights are off. And then she just says, "Fine, babe. Okay." And I'm like, just totally random. And I'm like, what? And then she's like, "I'll do it." And I got excited because for other reasons. And so I kind of I leaned over, I kind of propped myself up like Mr. Suave, GQ, and I'm like, and then she's like, "No, I'm talking about the show."
Right.
And so for a split second, I was almost disappointed, and then I got super excited, and I literally I'm like, "For real?" And so I jumped up and I literally went and emailed them back that night, right then and there, saying, "Okay, set us up for an audition." So yeah, that was kind of how it came to be, and then we did our audition, and I think they loved our band.
And of course, they loved us.
They loved our bantering back and forth. But yeah, so that's how that came about.
Wow. I gotta get this out of my head, Pino. You took me somewhere else, man. You took me back to smaller is better. I'm trying to leave that alone. Patsy's like, I don't get it.
I still don't want to know.
And every other person listening and watching.
Everybody else knows what you're talking about. She's like, I don't get it. Great stuff, though, man. Great stuff. So in that, so you actually had to show one of the flips that you were working on. I mean, or did they give you one of those staged ones?
No,
it was our flip.
Okay.
Basically, that's one where we added square feet to the house and did an ADU conversion. We converted the garage.
Fun fact. You're leaving the fun facts.
Oh, what's the fun fact?
We actually brought ADUs to the HGTV world. That's us.
Yeah, we were the first. We were the first on TV to talk about ADUs, and that was kind of like nobody knew about them. I mean, people knew about them, but TV world didn't know about them. So
I imagine this is. I haven't had this conversation about ADUs. So bring ADUs to real life real estate investing.
Well, there we go. So an ADU. Yes. So an ADU it's an acronym. It's accessory dwelling unit. A lot of people call them additional dwelling units, which kind of means the same thing, but it's accessory dwelling unit. And in California, we're running out of space, especially in the high density areas like Los Angeles, for example. So they have allowed these accessory dwelling units to be added. So if you only have a single family let me back up. Back in the day, you can only have multifamily homes if it was zoned that way. So you can't have two houses. You could have a guest house. That was kind of different because you don't have a kitchen. You just have a bathroom and a room. But it wasn't allowed back then. So now they're allowing you to do these ADUs that effectively you can have. Let's just call it a duplex. So you can have on a single family zoned property. You can have your main house and an ADU. Now, beginning of last year, they also included this junior ADU, which now you can have 3 units on the same zone property, which is very cool. And then they just passed this past year, they just passed SB 9, which is another whole shebang where you can actually divide your lot and section it and create four properties on one, which it's a little bit more, I don't know too much detail on that, but yeah, they're just basically trying to fit more houses, that they, just because there's so many people here. So that's what an accessory dwelling unit is. And so a lot of people, what they'll do is they'll either live in the main house and rent out the accessory dwelling unit, or have a family member, maybe an older kid or mother-in-law type thing. And they can collect rent. And the beauty of it is if you're trying to buy a home and it has that, you can actually use that proposed income as income to be able to qualify to buy the house, which is huge.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's really cool. Did I miss anything?
No, you did okay. All right. The person that bought the property that we're talking about actually bought it as a rental, so they were actually not living in either one of them, and so they were renting out both, right? Both units. So and then the really neat thing about that specific property was that it had an alley, alley access, so we were able to do 2 different addresses for the front house and the back house. So that was huge for people that wanted to rent it, because they didn't have to go through each other's yards and then also mail and all of that. So it was perfect. It was a perfect setup for that house.
Yeah, that if you watch the show, the way the house is set up, you've got the house here and the garage, with the driveway on the side of the garage. What we did is we closed off where the garage door was and put the entrance door on the back side of the garage. And because of the alley access, and we created a separate driveway. So now they have their own private entrance, their own private yard. Yeah. So that was pretty cool. Pretty cool layout to do that.
Wow. Huge stuff. I mean, that is absolutely amazing. And again, I think about where your market is and where you guys do business. How is I guess, I don't talk about competition much, but how is the market in your area, and where do you see it going in terms of being a good area to invest in California, where you guys are?
Wow. Ooh, so you're trying not to use the word competition, but there's always going to be competition, right? It's funny because we just,
I like to call it collaboration.
Yeah, we actually just put an offer in a house about 10 days ago, and I thought I had a really strong offer, and I was like, oh babe, this is a good one. It's fast. It's literally like 17 minutes away from our house.
It's got a pool house.
Yeah. And then we never heard back, and I was just like, oh man, okay, oh well. So one of our friends,
we're at dinner,
and one of our friends we're super close friends with, also a flipper. He's like, guys, I got another house under contract, and he pulls it up, and I'm just like, really, dude? Like, you were the one that outbid me? Yeah. So that happens all the time. We're in a small community, but this is, in my opinion, where building those relationships that we talked about at the beginning, this is where they come to play, because we have actually been able to successfully and consistently been able to buy because of those relationships that we have. We have agents that are, hey, I have this house that's coming up. The seller wants to put it on the market, but I told them about you. Or that seller doesn't want to put it on the market, so I thought about you. So we're getting a lot of leads from just off market pocket listings, people that refer us. So again, I know that we do have competition when it comes to other investors around us, but we've still been able to buy because of those connections that we have, and we continuously do our own marketing as well. But when we are making our offers, I always ask, what is the seller looking for? Because it's not always price, and we've already touched on that a little bit.
Exactly.
So what else is the seller looking for? And when we're able to, then we want to accommodate those terms as well.
Great stuff. And and as simple as that question seems to be, that is a major question oftentimes that, you know, people don't think about. Like, what is it exactly that the seller is looking for?
Mhm.
You know, we have people that will negotiate and they'll make an offer, which is okay, what we're supposed to do, but that offer doesn't always bear the question, what is it that the seller really wants? Because most of the times people that don't know about the building rapport and negotiating, they
Right.
don't know that it's bigger than just the price. It's bigger than just the number.
That,
You know, sometimes sellers need help with moving or,
Yep.
you know, finances for other types of things.
Yeah.
one thing that we see a lot out here. So out here in the Antelope Valley, properties, the actual lots themselves are pretty big. So
Mhm.
people tend to gather a lot more stuff, if you know what I mean, aka
Yeah.
junk, or belongings, if you will. And we've actually, I would say we've acquired almost a dozen deals from simply, again, talking to the seller and finding out what, and their biggest thing, when they say, you know, well, how quick do you need to close? And they turn around and their response is, well, I have to get rid of all this stuff. Or, you know, well, it's going to take me 3 weeks. And it's like, okay, ding, ding, ding. They're one of their main drivers is they need to worry about clearing this stuff up. So part of our offer is leave whatever you don't want to touch and we'll take care of it. We'll either donate it or trash it. And, you know, we obviously account for that, but if they want to go that avenue. And it's like, oh, really? Like, I don't have to get rid of, like, we actually bought one. They used to sell at swap meets. And so they had a lot of stuff.
Do you guys know what swap meets are?
Do you guys have swap meets?
Like a flea market?
Well, I know what swap meets are. I'm not sure most people will watch. Most people have heard of a swap meet. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Basically, you just go, you know,
like a flea market. You know, for those of you that
right.
flea market.
So this seller,
consignment or something like that.
Correct. Yeah. So this seller used to sell at those swap meets, and so he had a lot of stuff, and a lot of it was damaged from the rain because the roof caved in. And anyways, so he had a lot of stuff that he felt was still good, but his wife's like, no, just get rid of it. And so we ended up saying that we'll take care of the trash for you, or we didn't say trash. We'll take care of your stuff. Your belongings. And so we were able to close on that deal. For Glenn, it took 4 40-yard containers.
Oh my goodness. How big of a house was that?
The house was only 1,100 square feet.
Oh my God.
But they had built like this shack and shed, and they enclosed the patio, and it was a lot. 4 40-yard containers of stuff.
Wow.
It was nuts. But again, that was another way we were able to acquire the deal. Mm-hmm. Just finding out what are their, you know, crutches.
What are their needs?
What are their needs?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
What are their needs? No, great stuff. Great stuff. Absolutely amazing stuff, guys. We have Miss Catone. Katen says, "Great stuff, guys."
Auntie Kim.
Auntie Kim. And I definitely want to shout out, some of the other folks that joined us today. A lot of our familiar faces on. Agnes joins us. Elda joins us. Agnes is in Texas. Elda's in Texas. Elda's in Texas. I can't remember.
No, I think Elda's here in California.
California. Okay.
I think
Zana said, "Hey Pino, hi Pino and Patsy." Terry from Hotlanta joins us. And then we have Bonnie. Bonnie was on, and let's see, and also Kim. So quite a few folks from our family of choice joined us. Elders in Phoenix. That's what I said.
Oh, sorry.
Both wrong.
Yeah.
Agnes said Elders in Phoenix. But listen, thank you all for joining us. Listen, Patsy, pleasure finally meeting the woman behind the man, or the woman beside the man.
The brains behind the operation.
Right. Listen, I will tell you how I know he's afraid of you, but but listen, I am definitely grateful for you all joining today. Thank you for being guests on the show. Thank you for sharing your information. Thank you for sharing your expertise. And if anyone that's watching, or anyone that will watch this later, that is in the market to get a significant return on your investment, these are the folks that you certainly want to reach out to. they're making the big bucks in big places like California. So let me see if I could. Let me see if my $450,000 will make it that way. If I could,
You want to be on that board, Glenn?
Got to do something to make it to the magical board. Everybody says, "Oh, Bonnie's from Vegas. Bonnie's in Vegas."
Yep.
She says, "Hi, all. Great seeing you." So thank you all for joining us.
Hi, Bonnie.
Let's see. Bonnie says, "Hi, Patsy."
Hi.
And Terry says, "Thank you for breaking down your operation. Very educational and informational. Go Pino."
Just me.
Don't forget about Patsy.
Yeah, what about Patsy?
She hasn't met you yet. That's
Oh, okay.
Right. Oh, there she is. She said, "Oh, that's Bonnie says hi, Patsy." But is there anything that you all would like to share before we get off today? First of all, tell the folks how to reach out to you, how to get in contact with you.
Mm-hmm.
Any words of wisdom that you'd like to share, if you like, before we get off?
I all I want to say is, again, if you guys are looking to invest in real estate and don't know where to start or like don't have any experience, you don't need any. You could just essentially and effectively become our bank, and you can invest in real estate that way and earn your income passively. The way to reach out, you want to take this? Because Patsy usually handles the board. So
So my email is Patsy, Patsy at APHI.com. You could also find APH Investments on social media. And I don't know, should I give them my phone number?
sure.
I don't know. Can we trust these people?
They're just going to call you to give you money. That's all.
I know, that's good. I'm just teasing. And then my direct number is 661-733-9980. And I also want to just kind of going by what Pino said, like if you are looking to invest or even just have questions about where do I start or I don't know if I can. We've been talking a lot about having money in the bank or under your mattress, but we've also had investors use their 401k. We've also had investors.
The actual what they do is they roll over their 401k into a self-directed K. So a solo K, they call it, self-directed IRA account. And that way you're able, you basically have checkbook control and you're able to invest in, tangible assets like real estate.
Right. And we've had people to say, hey, I only have 20, but my brother has 20. Can we combine? And so we've had people do that as well. We've had people say, hey, I don't have any money, but I know my folks have money and they just have it sitting there. Can they? So there's many different ways that we can get started. Let's have that conversation. Let's meet. We can do a Zoom call. We can do a phone call. If you're local, we can meet, go out and get a meal.
And eat some hot wings.
My husband likes to eat. And again, there's no obligation. The board is very helpful, but honestly, I don't want that to come across as like, oh my God, I'm not ready to be on the board. That's okay. That's just a helpful visual reminder for us, right?
Yeah.
But we would love to, to talk with people and just see what their needs are, what their fears are, if they have any questions about it. We have a very strong team where not only do we bring a lot of experience, but we do have, escrow title that we've done almost 100 transactions with on the both buying and selling side. So we get good rates, we get VIP treatment. So if we don't know the answer to a question, we have a strong team where we can go and find out, and that would give them a better sense of an understanding, but also just more comfort.
Yeah. And be sure to follow us, like you mentioned, Glenn. Follow us. We're on Facebook and Instagram. Our handle is APH Investments. Very simple, APH Investments. And we post before and afters, some goofy videos, and some stories.
She does the goofy videos.
Well, she posts them, but I'm the goofy.
Goofy videos are necessary.
Yeah. But yeah, be sure to follow us.
And then give them the design one so they can see all our.
Oh yes, and we also what's the actual name? I always confuse it.
AP _designs.
Yeah, so AP_design is we created an Instagram account strictly just for our design work. So it's just mostly just all after photos of our work. Once it's staged and all pretty, the professional photos that that are taken. So you can follow that one as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. So now we got Facebook, what is APH Investments,
Mm-hmm.
and there's an Instagram, APH Investments,
Correct.
Mhm.
and then the other Instagram is AP
Underscore
underscore
design.
designs. Okay,
Yeah.
good stuff, good stuff. And you did give your email for them to reach out to you through email. Okay,
Yes.
good. Okay, I just want to make sure because these are things that we'll post in the after to make sure everybody has that information so that we can make
course.
sure they're reaching out to you to give you the money that you can use to give them a return on their investment.
Oh, and real quick, I don't think we talked about this, but as far as how is their money secured, and risk and all that good stuff. So I'll touch that. I know we're running out of time, or we've run out of time, but
No, go ahead.
you're secured by the actual tangible asset. So your name is on title of the property. So God forbid we're not able to pay, you can foreclose on the property, just like a bank. You basically are the bank for us. So your name is the bank. We have a promissory note, which basically says all the terms on there, and you're also listed as loss payee on the insurance, title insurance, and hazard insurance. So the house insurance. So those three things, and there's a deed of trust, of course. That's how you're able to get put as the lien holder on the property. So you're definitely backed by the actual asset. So
Great stuff. Great information. And these are things, and I'll just point this out. A lot of times people don't understand, when you're talking about people who work regular jobs, they have savings, they have, like you mentioned, the 401k or the IRAs and things like that. And oftentimes you find that these are the people that sit on the sidelines and don't know how to get involved,
Mhm.
right? They don't know either from a educational standpoint or from a time standpoint. A lot of people I find they don't know how to do it, and they don't have the time to learn, and let alone have the time to do the investing themselves. And they don't know that these are opportunities that are available to them to just invest the funds so that they can get the return and keep the day job until their return is outweighing the money that they make on the day job.
Right.
Yeah, but great stuff again. I want to thank you all again for joining me on the show. And listen, reach out to my brother and my new sister. Save me some of the chicken wings that I don't eat.
Yeah, for sure.
No, but this has been exciting. Thank you all for sharing. This has been another amazing show. We're going to have another guest on next week, and Real Life Real Estate Investing is back on a regular basis. Don't forget to check out the Prime Time with Mr. Dollar Out of a Dime show that happens every Tuesday evening at 7 p.m. Eastern. And what else we got going on? Any events that you guys got locally in your area that you want to share about?
Not for now.
Yeah,
No.
not that I can think of.
One last thing. HUD Up or Shut Up. I like the title of that. HUD Up or Shut Up. That's happening February 23rd. And we'll have that information posted in the comments as well. And if anybody has questions or any additional things they want to say about the show today, leave it in the comments, and we'll make sure that information gets shared with Mr. Pino and Mrs. Tenerelli, Mrs. Patsy Tenerelli, and they will be able to reach back out to you. Huh? Tenerelli, that's what I said. Did I say Fazzarelli?
Yeah, you had it right at the intro, so that's all that matters.
Right. I'm sorry, I messed that up. But that's our show for today. And thank you all so much again for joining me. Thank you all for hanging out with us today. And
having us, Glenn.
Absolutely. This won't be the last time because we want some updates on your next HGTV show.
For sure.
Awesome.
I'm actually casting for a HGTV wife.
Wow.
He doesn't want to do it, so I gotta find somebody.
So you gotta find the stand-in, and the stand-in's name will be Patsy as well. So. All right, thank you all for joining me. This has been the Real Life Real Estate Investing Show, where we talk about real life real estate situations, where we bring you real life real estate solutions. Thank you very much. We're signing off after I mess up my microphone, and we'll catch you next week.
All right.